Good afternoon, and welcome to our Facebook Live with an update from our chair, Chris Rumbold. Chris Rumbold is a board-certified attorney in Fort Lauderdale and a member of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. He's a visionary, and we're so lucky to have him as this year's chair. So, Chris, what inspiration or insights can you share from the leadership retreat this year at Cape Coral?
So, insights. When you put on an event and you provide everybody a kind and compassionate environment, you give them a Zen room, you take care of all of the meals and all of the activities, uh, and you put it at a hotel that is affordable, you have a great event. And we had a fantastic event. We had a great turnout. We had, I think, around 60 registrants. It coincided with the fall meetings. The fall meetings were really well attended. You know, that goes back to the number of people who submitted committee preference forms, which, at least for my tenure on executive committee, was a record number. It's been a great turnout. It's been a great year so far, and it was a really exciting way for me to start the year.
So it sounds great. So, what are the other major upcoming live events?
Sure. So we have a bunch of them. So we have the out-of-state retreat. That's the first week in October. That is in Asheville at the Omni Grove Park Hotel. That is chaired by General Magistrate Beth Luna, at Chelsea Miller, Mark Joseph, and I've been working with our section administrator, Willie Mae Shepherd, on that. Then in January, we have the certification review course, which coincides with the mid-year meetings. As everybody knows, that's in Orlando. Nothing's changed there. It's at the Lowe's Royal Pacific. That promises to be incredible. It's incredible every year. We partner with the American Academy. I've been working with Julia Wida on that, who is the chair of the Marital and Family Law Review Course Committee. And she's been remarkable. And she has a committee of 3 other members who are working on it with her, as well as Susan Stafford, who is the director of the American Academy, and again, Willie Mae Shepherd. So we've got the mid-year meetings there, as well as the certification review course. And then on February 21st, we have our live CLE, which is being called Consultation to Courthouse. That's in Jacksonville at the Hyatt Waterfront. Again, that's February 21st of next year. We're in the initial planning stages of that event. And then lastly, in May, we have the in-state retreat at the W Hotel, and that is the first week of May. And then we get back to where everything kind of started with the annual meeting and my swan song as chair.
Well, so many great things ahead. And of course, none of this would be possible without our sponsors. So, is there still
Sure.
time to become a sponsor of the Family Law section this year?
Yes, it is. And that is a fantastic question. So we had a great turnout for sponsors at the leadership retreat. There we had BB Law, we had Gladstone, Weissman, Hirschberg, and Schneider, Matthew Lundy Law, Shapani Norman, and McLean, Soman Stewart, Business Valuations, as well as Smith, Stolman, James, and Gardier, accountants in Palm Beach. They were fantastic. You know, it's the infusion of sponsorship dollars that helps us put on the great events that we're able to put on, because those sponsorship dollars directly defray costs that the section would otherwise have to incur. We have fantastic annual sponsors, and I'll get to those in just a moment. Your question was, is it still possible to become a member sponsor of the family law section? And the answer is yes. The easiest way to do it, and I'm going to do it right now, is to go to familylawflaw.org. and go directly to the sponsorship page. It's a tab at the top with a drop down, and there's still opportunities to become an annual sponsor, to sponsor the out-of-state retreat, to sponsor the annual meeting, and to do specific CLE event sponsors. And let me take an opportunity to do a shout out to our annual sponsors. We have Florida Appeals, Shapani, Norman, and McLean, Smolin Accountants, Ari Harper, Our Family Wizard, DPA Legal, which used to be Floridum, but it's DPA Family Law, Green Cardigan Marketing, and Psychological Affiliates with Dr. Day. It's those annual sponsors that also help us defray the costs of the section, which we incur bringing fantastic events to each of you, as well as being able, for instance, to hire our lobbyists, to hire our social media gurus, to hire our publicist. You know, the sponsors make all of that possible.
Well, we hope a lot of the viewers today will consider becoming sponsors. So what advice do you have for any members of the family law section who'd like to get more involved?
So that's super simple. Call me. So that is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can email me. That's super simple too. I have my phone on me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like so many family law attorneys do. My email address is cwr@cwrlaw.net. And my cell phone number, give it a call. It's 954-531-4929. So long as I'm not in court or in a deposition or mediation, I'll pick up. You can also look at, and this makes it, I think, super simple. Go to the family law section's website, click a drop-down screen that says Get Involved. Because if you want to know how to get involved, you're going to click Get Involved. And then you can go to committees. We have 21 committees. Our committees cover a whole range of topics. Like I said at the start, if you submitted a committee preference form, you were put on a committee. Those committee preference forms are due each year by March 15th. If you didn't complete a committee preference form, it just means you're not on a committee as of right now. You can be on a committee tomorrow. We love worker bees. Anyone who wants to get involved can get involved. Just look at the variety of committees that we have. Figure out what suits your interests. Reach out to me, and I'll get you put on the committee. That applies for any committees that did not have like specific requirements, like legislation is limited to 30 people. So legislation, I've already made the selections through the individuals who put it on their committee preference forms, but that doesn't mean you can't show up at a legislation meeting, raise your hand and say, I'd like to help on this project. If you do that, you will be given a task. I encourage everyone who's got an interest in family law and who wants to perfect their practice to get on a committee and see what the committees can do for you. Things like publications. You know, if you had an interest in legal drafting in law school, write an article. If you have an interest in a specific CLE, and we have a bunch of fantastic CLEs coming up, click the link and see how you can get involved there. There is a committee for every preference point.
Thank you, Chris. And so, continuing that and taking involvement to the next level, the board certification application is coming due on August 31st. And we understand that you're board certified.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
thoughts you have with anyone who's looking to become board certified?
Do it. Try it. You know, I read, let me see, those green books, every green book and every case for the past 4 years prior to taking the exam. And I knew my stuff inside and out. You know, I was the most dangerous the 2 years I took the exam. I didn't pass it the first time. I took it again because you're given 2 opportunities. If you qualify 1 year, you are provided an additional opportunity the next year. I knew my stuff inside and out, and the way that it changed the way I look at cases, the way that I read case law, the way I assess a consultation when I come into it, it changed based upon all of the studying and all of the cases that I read. Like, I would go to court prepared before, but the level of preparation and the type of insight that I could bring to a trial afterwards, I think was qualitatively different. It was a fantastic experience for me. It's changed my practice and the type of cases that come into my practice. I think, you want to do better. Study for the exam, try to pass it. If you don't pass it, give it another shot. And do your very best. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for anybody who really wants to apply that level of professionalism and practice to their practices.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your insights and for your leadership. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we conclude?
I hope my phone rings. I love getting involved in the section. My involvement with the section started with me raising my hand and saying I'd take on a piece of legislation that wasn't terribly interesting at the time. It resulted in me testifying before the House and Senate a number of times on that piece of legislation. And I think the work that I did on that started the trajectory toward chair of legislation and ultimately getting on executive council and ultimately getting on executive committee and becoming chair. It all starts with just raising your hand. It ain't that hard. Just raise it. I'm doing it right now. I think that's probably the best advice I could. Put yourself out there. You fail 100% of the tasks that you don't try. And that's sort of my mantra. I would prefer to fall flat on my face than have not tried at all.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your insights and advice today. It was great being with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for another opportunity to be interviewed about the section that I love.